We've all heard of the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. These civilizations are the titans of ancient history. Their towering pyramids, their epic wars, their legendary leaders. But there's one ancient civilization that often slips through the cracks of our collective memory. It built cities that would make modern metropolises look primitive, had technological feats centuries ahead of its time, and disappeared without leaving a single trace of its people. It's a civilization that no one talks about, even though it shaped the ancient world in ways we're only beginning to understand. This is the lost world of the Indus Valley Civilization. More than 4,000 years ago, along the fertile banks of the Indus River, in what is now modern-day Pakistan and India, a civilization blossomed, larger and more advanced than Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. These were cities like no others, where the concept of urban planning wasn't a distant dream, it was a reality. Cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were centers of innovation, trade, and culture, with complex grid systems that would make today's architects green with envy. In these cities, the people had access to something we take for granted today: running water. Public baths were common, and there was indoor plumbing in some homes. These people didn't just survive, they thrived. They built vast cities with streets that ran at perfect right angles, impressive brick houses, and drainage systems that were cleaner and more advanced than some modern cities today. But here's the twist. The Indus Valley Civilization didn't build grandiose monuments like the Egyptians, nor did it engage in the kind of bloody conquest that characterized other ancient empires. They built peaceful cities, places where life was lived not in the shadow of war, but in the light of order and innovation. There's no evidence of kings or rulers, no towering palaces, and no massive armies. In fact, there is no evidence of conflict at all, no great battles etched into their history. The people of the Indus Valley seem to have preferred cooperation over conquest. Their cities were not only well-planned, but hygienic. In a time when the rest of the world was still grappling with basic sanitation, these cities boasted sophisticated drainage and sewage systems, with some homes connected to running water. Imagine that. This is a level of public health that would have been unimaginable to most ancient civilizations. But that's just the beginning. The people of the Indus Valley were centuries ahead of their time. They had an advanced system of weights and measures, one so precise it would impress modern scientists. They were one of the first civilizations to grow cotton, thousands of years before the rest of the world even knew what cotton was. They traded goods with far-flung empires, including Mesopotamia, showing that their influence and networks reached across vast distances. Their script, too. This day it remains a mystery. Despite decades of research, no one has been able to decipher the thousands of symbols found on their seals and tablets. Was it a written language? A series of symbols for trade? The world may never know, but it's clear that they had a sophisticated means of communication that contributed to the thriving cities we now call the Indus Valley Civilization. And then there's the city design itself. Modern engineers still study the layouts of these cities, amazed by their foresight. Streets ran in straight lines, homes were built with uniform brick sizes, and large public granaries show that they knew how to store and distribute food efficiently, a vital skill in any thriving society. They were not only advanced for their time, they were remarkably similar to how we live today. Their cities, their systems, their culture, they were centuries ahead of their time. But then, something happened. Around 1900 BCE, the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the most advanced societies the world had ever seen, suddenly vanished. There were no great wars, no cataclysmic invasions, and no earthquakes to explain their disappearance. The cities were abandoned, and the people simply disappeared. The streets grew silent, the granaries empty, and the once thriving cities became ghost towns. Historians and archaeologists have long debated why this happened. Some suggest that climate change could have altered the course of the Indus River, making the once thriving agricultural lands uninhabitable. Others argue that shifting rivers may have disrupted the delicate balance of trade and agriculture that sustained the civilization. Could it have been a slow decline, an environmental catastrophe that pushed the Indus Valley people to abandon their cities and disperse? Some theories even suggest that the people of the Indus Valley may have simply migrated to other regions, leaving behind their cities for reasons we may never fully understand. Perhaps they blended into neighboring cultures, leaving no mark of their passing. But to this day, no one knows for sure. The mystery of their disappearance remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in history. How could such an advanced civilization, with its incredible innovations and peaceful society, vanish without a trace? Unlike the ancient Egyptians, who left behind towering pyramids, or the Romans, whose empire's remains are still visible in the form of grand architecture, the Indus Valley Civilization left behind no grand monuments. There are no majestic ruins, no grand temples to marvel at, just the quiet remnants of cities that once hummed with life. Instead of grandiose statues or inscriptions, all we have are the remains of their cities, the artifacts they left behind, and a handful of perplexing symbols on seals and pottery. What they left behind, however, is a mystery buried beneath the sands of time. It's a legacy that challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient history. And while history may have all but forgotten these people, they shaped the world more than we realize. From their engineering marvels to their trade routes, their ideas and innovations may have been passed down, influencing societies long after their civilization vanished. The Indus Valley Civilization was not just another ancient society, it was a blueprint for a different way of life, one that may have been ahead of its time in ways we are only beginning to appreciate. If you want to uncover more forgotten civilizations like the Indus Valley, civilizations that built empires, cities, and technologies long before the world remembers them, then follow Legacy Thread, where forgotten histories rise again. Because history isn't just about what we remember, it's also about what we almost forgot.